You ready for a warm lead, Vito?
Uh-oh. It can't be.
It can't be a warm lead?
There's no way somebody wants to sell.
$5 trillion a year in property trade, and there's nobody wanting to sell. Okay, so we're going to go over a good lead. This says I've been writing them for years, and they're going to give us the opportunity now that they're ready to sell the property. We give good leads to people who show up, seem interested, and want to work and do what we say.
Wow.
Unlike the people that don't show up and bitch why they're not getting fucking leads.
Wow.
Seems obvious. Okay, so what do we do first?
Okay,
so we go to Google, we type in the address. And we first kind of look, 10,000 feet, where's it at, what's going on with it?
some part of Seattle that I don't know.
Okay, so first we look at it from 10,000 feet. Then we see if there's been any property things for lease, so you can see pictures of the property, you do a quick search, right? So nice neighborhood. It's a mix of residential, duplex, triplexes, new construction, condos, townhouses. Then we go to some other platform that tells us when he bought it and potentially what his mortgage data is, which we use PropStream to pull it up, which I already printed for you to expedite this conversation. And we see that he's owned it forever and he owns it outright.
Nice.
So we have good location. We then look at the square footage of the property, the square footage of the zoning. We see if it's an existing structure that we'd keep or whether it has tear down potential. We do all of this in 5 to 10 minutes. Then when you go to PropStream, you can also sometimes see what other things they have in their portfolio. Curveball here is it says they live in the property. So at this point now, that's all the information I would take to reach out to him. Now at this point, you grab that email, you reply to him, say I'm Jim's partner on everything in Capitol Hill. Love to talk with you. Yes, we are very interested. So I'd prefer when somebody emails, generally send an email first rather than just cold calling them live. Part of it is politely aggressive, but not, banging down the door. Then the best approach is trying to have a 5, 10, 15-minute conversation with them, see what their goals are, where they're moving, when they need to move, the trial balloons, if you're looking for cash out or would you consider financing. Is there a tenant in the building? Sounds like one of the units is rented. What do you think the other 2 units would rent for if you weren't living there? From that, you try and determine is this an A lead, a B lead, or a C lead. Which the difference between warm leads versus cold leads is this person is actively going to sell.
Okay.
So generally they go through their list, they start calling all the regulars that have written them over the years, and they start seeing who's serious and who's not. You can sometimes then, because they are ready to sell, they will have an expectation in their mind what they'd like to get. They may or may not tell you that. It's the deal hunter's job to try and peel back the onion. Based on the information you get, determines whether you think it's prudent to go take the time to see the property. So if he's looking for all cash out, close in 30 days, full market thing, probably doing 20 tours with 20 people, and he's also talking to brokers, that's probably a very low probability deal. If they've just started, no one's come to look at it yet, they're comfortable doing a direct deal, then it would kind of move to more of a priority. Then you're just gauging it. At that point, you put it in the system, you update it in Zoho, you take the assignment, it's now your lead. At that point, you're gonna come back with me with what he says and see if it moves to something promising. At most, you should be spending 30 minutes on it, even a warm lead. The qualifying part is it worth driving to meet them cold from a 10-minute phone call? That is where the deal hunter has to decide, is that a use of my time or not?
Okay.
Based on the quality of the lead.
So you would say the more confident I am that this is a deal we could get under contract, the more I should be pressing to meet face to face and see the property.
We have that one in Ballard that I worked, and he started out talking to 20 people. He narrowed it to a short list of 4 people, and ultimately he picked us. But I was very guarded in the sense that I told him in the first conversation, hey, if you're going to be looking for 20 proposals and a horse race, we're not doing that currently. We have an unlimited supply of people that want to work with us one-on-one for fair market value, and while we're willing to pay a premium for a property, we're not into bidding competitions. And I said, my time's valuable, your time's valuable. We like to have negotiations where we feel we will get to the finish line. Part of vetting them too is like, no, it's a requirement that we get 12 offers and we're going to go through it. That's probably not a very good use of time. Doesn't mean you don't throw something at it, because it can take you 20 minutes to write an offer and throw something at it. But I wouldn't drive to the property multiple times. I wouldn't go have Grand Slam breakfast with the guy trying to convince him to pick us. Which, you know, I ended up going to that property where he was looking multiple, and I was very just to the point. Like, we'll put our best offer on the table. If you want to work with us, we buy 4 properties a month. That's great. If not, we respect it. There's lots of buyers. You get to pick who you want to work with. You're not convincing them to sell to us, and you're not getting into bidding wars.
Yeah.
So that's where a good deal hunter will have his list of A prospects, B prospects, C prospects, D prospects. He'll work them all, but the amount of time he focuses on each category changes. If this is a 10-unit apartment building on Capitol Hill, and they hadn't talked to anybody, and they wanted to sell on owner financing, and he said he was going to be there tomorrow, you know, cleaning out a unit, yeah, I'd meet you. Because that's giving the signals that, boy, if you can get to the front of the line, you can get rapport with the guy, you probably have a good chance of doing it. If he calls and says, yeah, I'm doing a cattle call, anybody, I've talked to 30 people so far, everybody's coming, low probability. So maybe you send somebody else. Maybe you send your assistant, which we're getting you an assistant. Because Teddy KGB has lots of assistants.
And hair.
And hair. They got to clean up the chips, all the money he makes. They got to put it in the bank.
Okay, when I email Steve, should I be CCing you?
Yeah, you can include me. Just the greatest part that the deal hunter needs to do is essentially you're my partner. I'm a partner with Jim. I help him with all the acquisitions.
The reason why I ask is just because it's very easy to confuse people, right? I think if I CC you, then probably make more sense of like, oh, this is actually a person I should be responding to, as opposed to just like, who the heck is this?
You got to realize we've sent 50,000 proposals out into the world for the last 30 years. For the most part, it's not like they met me or did the transit. Like if somebody writes and says, you bought 2 properties from us 10 years ago, we'd still like, then yeah, I'm going to take point, and then I would introduce you, or I could introduce you, but it's okay if you're just writing them cold, forwarding that email, which is, hey, I'm Jim's partner on this. We do, you know, help him with everything he buys on Capitol Hill, because that's putting you as an expert for Capitol Hill, even though honestly you don't know Capitol Hill that well. So, which is fine, but you know, the challenge of that neighborhood, another challenge is the demographics of that neighborhood is very mixed use. Mixed, meaning it's higher end residential, it's apartments, it's townhouses, it's rental properties, so it's very eclectic. But it still has high value. So at this point, reach out to him and start the conversation. So generally, you'll have a higher hit rate from positive leads. Thank you, Mr. Young. You may cut that for an Academy Award.
Okay.